Fox Sports NFL analyst Geoff Schwartz, his thoughts about the Browns quarterback competition.
I feel like there's sort of two separate job applications, jobs happening, right? There's like the Flacco, Kenny Pickett, who's going to start. Like that's one competition, right? And the loser of that most likely is released, okay? And then there's sort of like the Gabriel Sanders, who's the primary backup. I don't think that at Gabriel Sanders camp, unless they are so good early in training camp, are going to overtake sort of the Pickett Flacco, who's going to start competition, right? Because look, those guys have experience, and I mentioned this when the draft happened. There's 4 quarterbacks that need reps. You have single practices now. You don't have 2-a-days. And now even practices, you get every 4th day off and you have a load management day. Like there's just not enough reps calling unless Shadur is that good early on. He's that much better than Flacco, which he probably won't be in practice, right? Flacco's done this a long time now. So you basically would have to give him the job saying, hey, man, we just see so much in practice. There's not a lot to see in games yet. We'll give him jobs. I think early on it's probably Flacco, Pickett, whoever wins that job. And then the primary backup will just be the winner of the Sanders Gabriel. I mean, look, Gabriel, I'm with you. I think he's a career backup. But he's going to look good in practice. Like you're going to have to basically lose that job in the preseason, and I think he will. I think Sanders will play better than him. So I think that right now, I think Flacco starts probably the year as a quarterback. At some point, though, Sanders overtakes him.
Well, now let's welcome in Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, you wrote an article about this. They plan to conduct a fair competition. Take us through what that might look like.
Well, basically, what's going to happen early on in these OTAs, which we will be out there next week to see what's going on out there, and then probably through mandatory minicamp, they're going to be conducting basically 2 different sets of passing drills so that they can get as many reps in for these guys as they possibly can. That's why you saw them continuing to add receivers to the football team. You saw them adding 3 tryout receivers after rookie minicamp for now about a total of 12 receivers. So they can split those guys up about 6 and 6 and let these quarterbacks get tons of reps.
Would you expect them to get reps with all of the receivers? So in other words, all 4 will get reps with the ones, all 4 will get reps with the guys that are at the bottom of the 12 wide receiver depth chart, if you will.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have to make it a level playing field. There's no way you can conduct a fair quarterback competition if you're not giving Shador a chance to throw to Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku, and and Joe Flacco has to be able to throw to the tryout guys. So in order to make it fair, they will mix it up. They will throw to all different guys. Now, having said that, with the way this schedule starts out and with as tough as it is in the early going of the 2025 season, they cannot wait too long to pick a quarterback. They have to get up and running as soon as possible. They've got to get their chemistry down, their camaraderie down, and they can't dilly-dally on this thing.
Is there, I know you and I have talked about this, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, they're pretty level, aren't they? I don't think anyone starts with, a 2-step head start, if you will.
Well, actually, I do think Kenny Pickett has a little bit of a head start by virtue of the fact that they went out and pursued him right at the start of the league year, and they took their time with Joe Flacco. In fact, Joe Flacco didn't even know 2 weeks beforehand that this was going to be possible, that he was going to end up with the Cleveland Browns. He was actually kind of surprised when it came down. So they were not apparently hot and heavy after him this whole entire time. They had been looking at Russell Wilson and some other options. And so I would have to put Kenny ahead on the sort of imaginary depth chart or in the pecking order right now. So I'm going Kenny, and I've said this several times, Kenny, Dillon, and then you bring in Flacco and Shador to take those 3rd and 4th team reps when they get into team, and they'll split them up and jumble those up to a degree. But I mean, if you really had to put a pecking order to it right now, that's where I would go.
And again, the thought was those are the 2 guys that they actually went out and got when the others were available.
Yes, absolutely. Even in the draft, when you look at Dillon Gabriel, they were very intent on landing him in that 3rd round, and they passed on Shador Sanders 6 different times. They were prepared to leave the draft without Shador. They were not prepared to leave the draft without Dylan Gabriel. They did not want that to happen. So they saw to it that they ended up with him. And then, of course, they came back and grabbed Shador in the 5th round. So he's got to climb back up. And I'm sure he will. I mean, he's really a really good football player. He had a nice rookie camp, and I know that there is a segment of the Shador Sanders fan base out there that gets very upset about any suggestion that he might not be the starting quarterback right from the start. But it's going to be a little bit of an uphill climb.